In this unit, we're going to spend more time talking about congruent triangles, but before we talk specifically about congruent triangles, we want to talk in general about congruent figures and what it means when figures are congruent to each other. So in two congruent figures, all parts of one shape or all parts of one of the figures are congruent or the same size as the corresponding parts of the other figure. So some important words here, we've got corresponding, we've got congruent. Congruent means that they're the same size. Corresponding parts means that they're in the same location. So I want to go through these two triangles and identify all the congruent corresponding parts. So the corresponding angles. So angle K corresponds with and is congruent to angle S. You can see right here, angle K is marked with 1 mark and angle S is marked with 1 mark. So those are congruent to each other. Then I have, if I go to the 2 marks, it doesn't matter what order you write these in, but angle L is congruent to, so I look, here's angle L with 2 marks, and that's congruent to angle R. And then I go on and I look at the next one, angle J is congruent to angle T. Angle J is congruent to angle T. Now, here you need to be a little bit careful because we do need to match up the pieces that go together. So we want to go in the same order on our sides as we use angles. So we want to keep our angle pieces matching up. So when we name our sides. So it doesn't matter how you name the first one. So we'll just call the first one JK. That's fine. So if you look at JK, J is the angle that's marked with 3 pieces and K is the angle that's marked with 1 piece. So I want to go from those in that same order. When I went from J to K, I want to go in the same order on the corresponding part. So JK matches with TS. So JK is congruent to TS because that way we can also see right here, J matches with T just like it did right here. And so we want to keep those corresponding parts where they match up. So we would do the same thing. Our next one, we can use KL. So KL is congruent to, so I look, here's KL. I went from 1 mark to 2 marks. So I'm going to do the same thing, SR, from 1 mark to 2 marks. So KL is congruent to SR. And again, we want our K to match with our S, our L to match with our R, just like we did with our angles. And then we have our last one, J to L. We went from 3 marks to 2 marks, so we're going to do the same thing, T to R. So J to L is congruent to T to R. Because we want to match up all the pieces where everything goes. So the order does matter once you start writing the first one. Now, I could have said KJ is congruent to ST, LK is congruent to RS, LJ is congruent to RT, and those all would have been fine also. So a congruent statement for the triangles would be then that triangle. Now, it doesn't matter how you write this first set of letters. So I'm going to say JKL. So triangle JKL is congruent to triangle. Now this does matter. So whatever order I said them in the first time, in the first set, I have to say them in the same order, matching up the same markings on the second triangle. So J had 3 marks and J was first, so I'm going to say T first. K had 1 mark. S has 1 mark, so it's going to go next. L had 2 marks, and R has 2 marks, and it has to be in that order. JKL is congruent to TSR, so if I put JKL, it has to say TSR. Now again, I could have done KLJ, and that would have been fine, but it would also change the order here, that it would be S. So if I had KJL, then it would be STR. And so that first one, it doesn't matter how I write it, but then it matters how I write the second one after that. So given the indicated information, KLMN is congruent to PQRS. Now, don't go by what it looks like because they're not always going to match up. Especially with rectangles, it's hard to tell. Like you could flip one rectangle over and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So I'm just going to mark it so that I have it. So K matches with P, and see, I can see that right here. K matches with P. You want to use your congruent statement, not necessarily the picture, because you can't tell when things have been flipped over. So K matches with P, L matches with Q, L matches with Q, M matches with R. Now, it just so happens in this case, and N matches with S. It just so happens that our two rectangles are oriented the same way, but they're not always going to be that way. So you always want to look at the congruent statement when you're writing all these things down so that you can tell what goes with what. So N goes with S, so angle N goes with angle S. Angle R is the third in the row, so it goes with angle M. Okay, and we've also color-coded it so we can see that. KL, KL is this side right here. KL went from pink to red, so we'll go pink to red. So KL is congruent to PQ. LM, which is this side right here, matches up with QR, which is this side right here. The measure of angle P, now I actually want measurements. Okay, so the measure of angle P, P matches with K. K is 88 degrees, which means that P is also 88 degrees. Angle L matches with angle Q. Angle Q is 92 degrees, which means that angle L is also 92 degrees. Okay, KL matches. Remember, equals means measurements, and congruent means sides. So you would be naming pieces. KL is 2x plus 5. Well, KL matches up with PQ. So to find out how long that is, 2x plus 5 is equal to 22. Actually, KL is 22. We know how long it is. LM matches up with QR, so LM is 18. And if I wanted to know how long x is, then I would set 2x plus 5 equals to 22. Subtract 5 from both sides. So 2x is equal to 17. And so x would be 17 over 2, which is 8.5. Okay, so in this last problem, again, you want to use your congruent statement to match things up rather than just looking at the picture. You just leaves yourself open for room to make mistakes if you don't. So QR matches with WX. I'm going to color code it so it's easier to see. ST matches with YZ. See, I can see them right over here. QR matches with WX. ST matches with YZ. RS matches with XY. And then that leaves QT and WZ. So I want to find the value of x. So I look and I have a couple of x's. I have an x, 5x plus 5 at W, at angle W. And I have a y minus x on WX. Well, I don't want to use y minus x because that's two variables, and I just want to use one at a time. So I know that angle W is equal to angle Q. Well, angle Q is 65 degrees. So angle W is equal to angle Q. Well, angle W was 5x plus 5, and angle Q is 65 degrees. So now I have my equation set up. I can solve it. Subtract 5 from both sides. 5x is equal to 60. Or divide both sides by 12 or by 5, and you get that x is equal to 12. So that is the value of x. Then it says to find the value of y. Well, now I know that that's 12. So I can replace my y minus x with 12. Well, now I have y minus 12 equals, well, that's wx, which is my yellow side, which matches with qr, which is 6. Now I've got it set up. All I have to do is solve. So I add 12 to both sides, and I get that y is 18. So x is 12 and y is 18. And you set that up by looking at your congruent statements and then deciding which pieces match up based on your congruent statements. Sometimes you can match them up by your congruent statements, and sometimes you match them up by the mark.